Hello YouTube, welcome back to Unloved Autos. I've been planning to do a complete video on the 2011 Chevy Caprice police car that I bought at a Mecum auction about 10 months ago. I did a short video when I bought it at the auction, and like I said, I've been working up to doing a complete video on it. For review, came across the auction block at Mecum in Dallas in September. It is a used police car. It had been a police car in Tyler, Texas, before being retired and acquired by someone and then sent to auction. I ran into a bit of an issue recently, however. When you look at this car, you can see where they plug the holes for the various pieces of police equipment and things. Over here. Problem is that they didn't do a very good job of it, and the car leaks. So I had it sitting outside a week or two ago, and a big rainstorm hit that I was not expecting, and I came out to find a pretty good puddle of water in the passenger side wheel well. Shortly thereafter, the radio and the screen for the radio and GPS and things stopped working. And shortly after that, I parked it here, and now it won't start at all. I turn the key and it does nothing. Not a click, nothing. And I can't even get the key back out of the ignition, which is odd. I'm trying to do some research on that. Check the battery. Battery is totally dead, even though it was new when I bought the car. I suspect that the water that got inside caused a short of some kind or another, and it will remain to be seen whether it will charge and whether the car will run. I'm thinking I'm going to get rid of this no matter what. If I can get it running, I'll list it as a good old used car. If it won't, I'll probably just list it somewhere as a project, get rid of it, take my loss, and move on. But let's talk about the car in this rather awkwardly parked spot for the moment. I bought this car because this is a V8 rear engine police car built in Australia. I'll give some more history of these cars in a minute here, but I'd always kind of like these, and the SS from Chevy and the Pontiac G8 go for a lot more money. The Caprice is sort of the forgotten car. The Caprice is built for use here only as a police car. The public couldn't buy one. But it has the same amazing engine and suspension and things as the others. And I've driven this a fair amount over the past 10 months, more miles than I do most of my little quote collector quote cars. And this thing drives amazing. When we look at the inside, you'll see here in a second how it's very Spartan. Like I said, it was a police car, and they took out the back seat, and it looks ugly, but it drives so well, and this engine is just fantastic. I really enjoy driving this car. Let's take a look at the inside real quick. I can squeeze back here. There's my trusty assistant. Look in the car, you have cloth seats. Door panels look normal. This car has, I think, around 80-some thousand miles on it. Plastic floors. Your standard dash. This rather unique console they built for the police. It rattles a little bit. Very heavy duty though. You can see here they didn't really clean this thing up. Look at that. What a crazy light. Headliner is falling down. I had to cut off some of it so I could see out of this car. Here's the back seat. Oh, I mean, here's the rear area, since there is no back seat. They just took it all out and left it. Same with the door panels. Crazy. It makes the car pretty loud to drive, but you know, I don't mind it. It's fun. I think like a two-seater that can haul crap. If I lived in the north, this car would be a perfect winter beater. You don't really care if it gets rusty or crappy or anything. It runs. It starts every time, except when it has this rain issue. and just really a cool car. So let's talk about the history of these for a moment. The first Chevy Caprice hit the market in 1965. It was a full-size car built by Chevy. Prior to that year, Chevy full-size cars were Bel Airs, Impalas, Biscaynes, but as tends to happen, they needed something bigger and fancier and more expensive to sell to people, so they invented the Caprice. They made the full-size Chevy Caprice for years. It was very popular in the 60s and 70s. And in 65, it was just a luxury trim package, basically. And then in 66, it became its own model. The 71 through 76 versions were, a little trivia for you here, the largest Chevrolet cars ever built. And a fun bit of trivia as well, I'm full of trivia today. I learned to drive on a 1976 Chevy Caprice Classic that belonged to my parents. It was dark blue, pretty attractive car, had the 350 in it. I guess it served me well learning to drive on a car so big, because everything since then has seemed small. In 77, Chevrolet downsized the Caprice to the square version that we saw on so many police cars throughout the 80s and 90s. And then in 91, it was restyled again. The car then went out of production in the 90s. It made its comeback in 2011 with the car we see here. It lasted from 2011 to 2017. It was a captive import from Australia, built by the Holden GM subsidiary in Australia. It was just basically a rebadged version of the Holden car. GM had done this with several cars at the time. In 04 to 06, GM brought a Holden from Australia, the two-door version, and it was sold as a GTO here. Phenomenal car. Those Australians know how to make a great car, and that was one of them. And then when it didn't sell terribly well, because it didn't really look like a GTO should, I think, GM decided to bring the four-door version to this country. First, they gave it to Pontiac and sold it as the Pontiac G8. It had a 5.7-liter V8 and then a 6-liter V8. It was just a phenomenal car again. But then the big crunch hit in 2008. Shortly after that, Pontiac was dead, and so was the G8. Quick correction here. It was the GTO that had the 5.7 and 6-liter engines. The G8 had a 6-liter and then a 6.2-liter V8. Anyway, once the poor Pontiac G8 went away, GM decided, well, that's such a good car, let's try it with something else. And they began to sell it in this country as the Chevrolet SS. Very oddly named. We'd had SS model Chevys for decades, going back to the Impala SS in the 60s, and even things such as the Chevy Trailblazer SS. But this time they put the SS name on the car as not a trim level or submodel, but as the name of the car itself. All right, so be it. It also sold poorly, despite being, again, a great car. And they went out of production after 4 years. They made those from 14 to 17. The SS remains very popular today, however, on the collector market. Those things have barely depreciated. If you have a low mile one, it's worth some good money. I'm very envious. And that's the reason I bought the Caprice. I wanted all the benefits of the SS, but without the cost. This Caprice I have here, by the way, I paid the princely sum of $6,000 for it at the Mecum auction. With the Caprice lasting from 2011 to 2017, it was oddly both the most anonymous and most successful of those Australian imports. Funny how that works out. This car features the 6-liter V8, which is what mine has, or you could get it with the 3.6-liter V6 as well. This car has 355 horsepower, but it feels like more because it really moves this big car around really well, and it sounds good. If I was going to keep this thing, I'd put an exhaust on it just to give it some real rumble. Speaking of exhaust, I can't start it right now to let you hear the exhaust note because, like I said, it won't do anything at all. If it ends up charging and will start after a couple days here on the charger, or maybe with a new battery, I'll try it and post a new video here so you can see how it does. What are you doing under there, little man? Are you an alligator? Are you hiding in your moat? You know how to get out? I suspect you do. There you go, look at that. Production ended on this car in 17 when GM closed its assembly plant in Australia where it was produced. That also killed the SS. And in fact, GM stopped making all of these rear-wheel drive cars in Australia the same as Ford did. It's a darn shame. So anyway, Chevrolet these days doesn't have a big rear-wheel drive four-door sedan. Last of a breed. Hopefully I can report back to you shortly this is running. If not, maybe I'll do a video of it being towed away to its new owner. Hello again, YouTube. It's now the next day. The Caprice will not start or do anything at all. The Charger still giving us a red light. That's not a good sign. Let's take a look in the trunk at the very strange battery placement in this car. There's the lovely police car trunk. Got some stuff in there, pass through. There's the battery. See there, it looks pretty new. You're getting nothing. I did some research on the internet and found that there's some trick involving a flathead screwdriver and the steering column to get the key out of the ignition, which may or may not be related to whatever problem I'm having here. I'll try that next. Wish me the best of luck. Well, YouTube, I put the 2011 Caprice up on Facebook Marketplace, sifted through 15 people who were flakes like usual, found one guy who was serious and decided to buy it, just like that. So, my efforts to reduce the size of the fleet are going to work, it seems, at least for a day. We'll be saying goodbye to the Caprice. I do like the car. I will be looking for a much nicer one, or maybe a Pontiac G8. We'll see what happens. Next week, we may have another examination of one of the cars, maybe a guest. Hard to say. Till then, drive safely.